To the floor on the bill, Representative Landry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to be a little more nervous and emotional today than usual because I actually have a lot of friends in here who are trans, who I've been working with, and a lot of us have been working with this year, and I can't imagine how nervous and afraid they are constantly walking in this building, knowing there are people in here who actually want to hurt them and who want them to leave the state. Mr. Speaker.
Go ahead.
I respect y'all. You need to respect the people in this room too. We are here doing a job and you have the right to watch it. Back to what I was saying.
I'm going to ask that we please let each member have their say without any interruption from the balcony or the members on the side. If we keep having these interruptions, I'm going to have to clear the chamber. I do not want to do that. So I'm asking you, let each member have their say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I believe my point is being made. I respect my friends who come in here and who constantly reach out trying to remind people that they're human too. But the reason why Jason and I and other people are standing up here in their defense is that we want to let them know we're not going anywhere, that while there are people who want them to leave this state, we want them to stay here. Like I said, I personally know a lot of people who are trans. Last night, I happened to get a call from a constituent who was calling me about a bill about architecture. I said, let's talk about it after the election, and he just kind of dropped in the conversation. He said, you know, my son is trans. He's gone to Loyola this year. He's doing great. Last week, I was out canvassing and knocked on the door of a woman I know professionally. She invited me into the AC, and we started talking about this week, and she said, my granddaughter is trans, and I can't tell you how difficult it is for my daughter and her husband. She said, this child has tried to cut off his penis, and if that word makes you uncomfortable, suicide should make you more uncomfortable because the same child tried to kill herself, and she is 10. They are struggling with it as loving parents do. They are trying to decide what to do next with her. And the point of that is to say it's not easy. It's hard for these families. I have another very good friend in here and was just asking her this. I'm sorry, I just screwed it up because I've known this friend since before he transitioned, and it happens all the time, and that's okay. He corrects me. People will correct you. You just got to apologize. But I knew him before the transition, and I asked him about it this morning, and he told me about having to go to rehab at age 13 because he was confused and didn't know what to tell people and had been made fun of. Sorry, I was supposed to say at the beginning that I was following the governor's veto because that's what we're supposed to do up here. But as a side note, the governor talked about how this has been spread around the country. We've seen this every year here. How many of you knew anything about transgender people 3-4 years ago? Probably only those of us in New Orleans, unless you know someone personally. CRT, pronouns, bathroom bills, all of these things are meant to divide us and meant to rile people up around the country. Because you know what? This isn't about protecting children. These same groups, where are they when we talk about our 27% child poverty rate? Where are they when we talk about how the #1 leading cause of death of pregnant women is homicide? Where are they when we talk about the lack of health care for women and children? Where's their outrage for those issues? It's just not there. This outrage, the words that are used are horrible. Mutilation, that is a horrible, horrible word. And first of all, little boys are not getting sex change operations into little girls. That has been laid to rest. You might disagree with that, but that's a fact. When it comes to top surgery on girl children who are transitioning to be men, let me just say that there are teenage girls who are allowed to have breast implants. So if it's okay for breast implants and it's not okay for breast reductions, then the reason here is not the healthcare issue and it's not being concerned about kids, but it's about the reason. I also asked the author of the bill about gymnasts when we debated this bill. There are a lot of gymnasts that are given puberty blockers. I don't know if I agree with that, because to give a child medication to make them better at sports is it's an interesting question. But those kids are given puberty blockers, yet somehow everyone, well, most of the people in this room keep bringing up these studies about how dangerous they are, when we know they're not. They're also used on intersex children. Intersex, for one of you who asked me about it recently, it means some people are born with a mixture of genes and DNA and body parts. It's not common, but it happens. The word groomer. Groomer is a real thing. A groomer is a child rapist. A groomer is a teacher or a friend or an aunt and an uncle who gets close to a family and close to a child and tricks them and manipulates them into trusting him, it's almost always men, into leaving the child alone with him, or leaving the vulnerable child, sort of almost pushing the child onto him. That's what a groomer is. These words are nonsense. The governor also talked about the legal arguments. 6 district courts and 2 courts of appeal have said that gender reaffirming care is safe, it is medically supported, removing it does harm children, and that every major medical organization agrees with it. And that's the state of affairs right now. In closing, every year this happens on a few bills, that it's national organizations that are pushing and pushing, and then I see some of y'all get attacked on Twitter and in the mail by your own colleagues, which is wild. Senator Connick had people show up at his house a couple years ago. These are not people from Louisiana coming up with this. There's a lot of money and a lot of push behind these issues that are meant to rile people up. I mean, can you imagine your average neighbor going to show up on Pat Connick's door to yell about any bill? That's insanity. But it's because these people are pushing and encouraging and dropping money in these races. I kind of can't believe some people allow themselves to be used as puppets by outside groups instead of just focusing on issues that we need to focus on. Education, for one, the economy, healthcare, roads. Spending our time and our $50,000 of taxpayer dollars today is not just a waste of time, it's an insult to the people who vote for us. So I think we know what's going to happen, but just to remind you, this is your state, not their state. No national organization owns this state. The people in this building who have been very loud and very proactive about this issue do not reflect everyone who lives in this state, as we are living proof of that. So I ask that you just think about it. Think about who's telling you how to vote which way. It's not your constituents. Thank you.